everyone, my name's Talia Fuentes, and I am the progressive Democrat that's running in Arizona's Congressional District 9. In 2016, I ran in Congressional District 5, which is one of the most conservative districts in the country. The Democrats loved the diversity that I brought to CD5. They were so excited that they had a woman, that they had a Native American, that they had a Hispanic running in CD5, because that was an area that they didn't care anything about. Our system is in such a way that these areas are cut up and divided, and not always in a fair way. Not in a way that's going to create fair and competitive elections. So I ran in CD5 and they were all about it because they were like, cool, someone that's willing to put their time and effort into an area we know that's not winnable. Haha, you're crazy. They were all fine and dandy if I was running in area that they didn't consider their territory, because they're not going to waste their time and their effort because they see it as an area that's unwinnable. And because of how our districts are divided up, they're kind of right. I mean, that's the reality of this system. Blew their minds at what I was able to accomplish. I mean, we turned out voters. But that seat, now that Andy Biggs is in it and he is part of the establishment, it's going to be really hard to take that seat from him. And I don't see putting my time and effort and honestly my heart into that seat as being the most productive way to help benefit the progressive movement and really make sure that I didn't go crazy. Because working in a red district can be really, really disheartening, and it can be mind-blowing, and it can be incredibly exhausting, and it takes a lot out of you. But I also learned a lot in that election. Congressional District 9 was where I was needed, and it's the district that I live in. I've lived in Tempe for going on 12 years, and it's my home. My son has gone to the Tempe public schools since kindergarten. I don't see us going anywhere anytime soon. The last video that I did was kind of a plea for help. It was explaining my situation and how much we put into this. We did a video that was about fundraising, how much I put into fundraising, and really how much money influences politics. And a lot of people were surprised that I owed the Democratic Party money, that I would owe them any sort of money. And the reality is that even today, this actual day, I haven't made the payment to them yet, I still owe them $3,000. And I've already had to give them money. The Democratic Party sees candidates as revenue streams, a means in which they can make money. And the GOP doesn't function that way. They allow their candidates free access to the voter database. They actually give them resources in regards to staffers, volunteers, office space. And in 2016, I was allowed those things. I was included in their volunteer opportunities. I was included and allowed to work out of their offices. I was included on literature with Hillary Clinton, and they did all of this because I was working hard for the Democrats. And so at the time when I was hearing all these things about that they were going against Bernie and they were really against progressives and that they didn't want progressives to be a part of the conversation, I kind of was sitting there going, well, I'm not experiencing that. I'm not feeling that. They are supporting me. They are welcoming me in, and they are allowing me to be a part of their club. But when I decided that I was going to take on their seat and try to run for an open Democrat seat, they were not fond of that. And I've had multiple people from different angles within the establishment try to come to me to get me to step down. And this is up to a year ago that they were trying to convince me. And I mean, it's just crazy how much they want me to get out of the way of their candidate. And it's blowing my mind a little bit, because that's kind of like what happened with Bernie and Hillary. And that's what is making people think that the party sucks. That's what's making people not want to be involved. And here in Arizona, it's caused multiple candidates to go and run as independents. My opponent has always had the Democratic Party on their side. They've always had them wanting him to run and wanting to help him and wanting to get him elected. I am in a position where they tolerate me and they hope that I'll go away and that I don't cause too much of a fuss and that I will talk kindly and be open and nice about what it means to be a Democrat, but I don't like the hierarchy and when people are being treated differently because of money. And I don't like being treated as a revenue stream because candidates should be the ones that are getting the help from the party. It shouldn't be, you need to raise us money or get the F out. Isn't it about representing the people? Isn't it about making sure that the people and the constituents are having their voices heard and that the votes in Congress are what the people want? It's turned into a completely different game where it's entirely based around money. And another thing I hear from people a lot is they say, why don't you reach out to Emily's List? Why don't you reach out to some other large PAC? And trust me, I have. I have, and I actually have connected with the executive directors and talked and spoken with these people. And the thing is same thing, just like the Democratic Party, they see candidates as revenue sources and they don't want to support you unless you're raising large amounts of money. They see the amount of money that you're raising as public interest. When you're dealing with politics, your money and how much money you have is your popularity. That's how popular you are. It's frustrating because these people are donating to these organizations, hoping and thinking that that money is going to help candidates that align with those principles. When in reality, that money is going to the top tier candidates that are already making a ton of money and aren't the ones that need it the most. And we don't have a level playing field at this point in time. We need a clean elections program because we have something called Citizens United, which is destroying our democracy. It's allowing corporations and those with a lot of money to heavily influence our politics. And they do that through super PACs, and corporations are able to have a larger voice or a louder voice than those of us that are making up the majority of our country. It's incredibly sad how much money influences politics. We have been dealing with a Supreme Court vote on Citizens United for almost 10 years. And we have seen the divide get larger and larger when it comes to what's being spoken about in Congress and what the American people actually feel. And it needs to change quickly. And we need to have a clean elections program for our federal government. We need to have a level playing field where everybody has the same amount of money that they are allowed to use for their campaign. Because that says something about them as candidates. It says how much they are able to do with that amount of money. You've got people in Congress that are going out and furnishing their offices with $400 to $1,000 chair. And then you've got people like me who are very frugal and are able to furnish their entire office for less than $40. There are completely different mindsets. And I think having a clean elections program that is a set amount of money for each candidate really shows us the reality of that candidate and how they use their money. Money is controlling and dictating our politics right now. The rich, the millionaires, the billionaires, their voices are the loudest in the room. Those of us living paycheck to paycheck have been left out of the political equation for far too long. We can change the future of our government. We just have to have a level playing field. We have to have a clean elections program, and the parties can't see their candidates as a revenue stream. That's wrong, but that's what we're dealing with right now. And until I am able to be elected, until people like me are in Congress, it's not going to change. And we need those of us that are struggling, we need you to give that $1. We need you to give that $5. We need you to give, if you have it, that extra $20, because it's not changing fast enough. The people that are running now and that are backed by the establishment are solely focused on money. That's not my focus. I'm focused on saving money and using the money as effectively as we can. I'm sorry that politics is so heavily influenced by money. All I can say is that I am not heavily influenced by money. I know how to use it. I know how to make the most of a budget and make sure that we take care of everybody as best as we can. My values are not based in money. I fight every single day to put myself in the best position to help the most people. The candidates that are not supported by the establishment need your help. They are letting us be a part of the events. They are trying to make it appear as though we are being helped. But in reality, they are trying to freeze us out using money. Every single extra dollar that we have, they're trying to get from us, and it's not a fun place to be. I'm fighting against the establishment, and I am fighting for those of us that are living paycheck to paycheck and are outside the establishment bubble. I'm fighting for you, and we can make this change happen. And I'm excited to make it happen because it needs to change now. My son's future, my grandkids' future that don't even exist. Thank you so much. I'm Talia Fuentes. I am the progressive Democrat that's running in Arizona's Congressional District 9, and I approve this message.